commenting on how happy and healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a premium freeze-dried raw dog food designed to support your dog's health, happiness, and lifespan.
Their jaws are more flexible, their teeth are cleaner, and their coats shinier, and why they seem more youthful even as they age.
I'm veterinarian Dr. Marty Goldstein. I've helped countless dogs thrive with one simple concept. Your dog needs a high-meat diet similar to what their ancestors ate in the wild.
Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend using 50 years of nutritional research and experience, helping dogs make incredible turnarounds. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of Cod Krispies. They're wild-caught, ultra-crunchy cod skin treats. Go to drmartypets.com/Paul or text Paul to 511-511.
Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
And I appreciate what you guys do. I know Credit got Drew, Talkin' Ball 7 until 9 on my show when I feature Drew, and certainly have a great relationship with Wes and Steve and Tom and all you guys, man. It's always fun to hang out with you with media days, different bowl events, but I always appreciate the partnership. I almost feel like we're sister stations with 97.7 The Zone, the only sports station in the Rockets. And thank you so much.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 The Zone.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling sluggish? Gentlemen, Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health is here to help you. Braden is here. Braden, you've got the answers.
Thanks, Scott. Whether it's low T, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, or a number of other things, we have the solution for them.
It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call today at
256-850-1570.
You can find them online.
GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hey! What man wouldn't like to have tests done in a man cave?
That's right. Come in for your free test and consultation, walk into a world-class staff, a comfortable, relaxed environment, and we got your results in about 20 minutes with appointments less than an hour.
And the big game is always on the TV. It's Game Day Men's Health. Give them a call.
256-850-1570.
You can find them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com/Huntsville/The Zone.
Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. If you're planning a holiday or a birthday party, Full Moon has a large banquet room. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Just call us and we'll take care of everything. 256-713-0070. Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco. The best little pork house in Alabama. Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
It's freezer season at Owen Home Appliance Center. So if rising temps have that freezer on its last leg, check out the name brand frost-free upright and chest freezers. Best of all, Owen Home Appliance has them in stock and ready to go or have delivered. Don't let all that high-dollar food go to waste. Go to Owen Home Appliance Center and get that new freezer. And while supplies last, get a $50 gift card towards the purchase of Wagyu beef when you purchase a freezer. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name.
Your Rocket City Trash Pandas are on the road to the Chattanooga Lookouts tonight at 6 on Talk Radio WZZN 97.7 HD2 and the Talk Radio WZZN app.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
It is indeed a Tuesday evening here from Full Moon Barbecue. Swing on by. Anytime I'm here at Full Moon Barbecue, you know that means we're sneaking up on another zone deal. Actually, we've got a couple of zone deals for you to digest, literally, here this week. Salt Factory comes up on Thursday. Tom Abraham will be broadcasting from there on Thursday. But Friday morning, 8 a.m., get a chance to get $50 worth of Full Moon Barbecue for just $25. How are you, Wes?
Doing good. Good to be here.
Yes.
Already down the brisket. Delicious.
It's always really good here at Full Moon Barbecue. So, Kirby Smart spoke to the media today. Kirby getting a little snarky with the media.
When you talk about the depth of your team, can you identify one or two areas in particular that are most concerning at this stage?
Yes.
Can you identify it with us?
No.
Kirby did elaborate a little bit.
We got a long way to go as a football team. We are nowhere near where we close to where we need to be. I feel like we have less depth than we've ever had, and that's kind of a common theme talking to other coaches I talk to. I call it the deterioration of football because every year we've been here, I feel like we've had more players capable of going in and play winning football, and every year that goes down. So we got to keep working to increase that number.
Transfer portal. That's what's happening. I see that at Alabama during the scrimmage. I mentioned it. A lot of young guys, and really it becomes almost, I'm sure everybody has the same thing going on, maybe except for Ole Miss, who got so many people out of the portal, older guys, that, this is going to be every year because nobody's going to stick around if they're not starting. And so all of a sudden you lose your starter. And
what is a red shirt?
Yeah. It's not that though. There going to be still people get redshirted. It's the people that are the third year guys and fourth year guys are going to be long gone. Alabama has no depth on the offensive line, and it's because they're all transferred. And that's been a recurring theme the last couple of years. So if a guy's almost good enough to play, he's going to be gone, right? So, yeah, it's the world we live in now. And,
Kirby,
I think the football is going to suffer. I don't think the football players are going to be as good as they once were. You already see it in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're technically not very good. The offensive linemen aren't because they don't practice enough to be that good. I mean, I watched a game where a team lost because a tackle got beat on the inside on a goal line, run up the middle, step with the wrong foot. I mean, that's a joke. Anybody in the NFL, it's a travesty. So it's the lack of contact. It's the lack of practicing. It's the lack of being developed in high school. They just get the big guys and that can pass block. That's about it. You don't see the guys well developed as they used to be. The sport's watered down, no doubt.
Kirby did mention a little bit there of high school football, and it did make me curious on the numbers playing high school football. And at least according to which study is this? The National Football Foundation, that high school numbers have gone down 7.8% since the 2014 season as a whole nationwide.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, but remember, we were concerned maybe about a decade ago about concussions and those stories, and worried moms and dads saying, well, maybe let's try a safer sport, like, I don't know, soccer.
Soccer's not – soccer has more concussions than football.
That's exactly my point. But the perception. I
don't know if they're real concussions or fake concussions. It's on
flops. All right, is that what you're talking about?
They roll around on the ground like they're dead, and they kind of have one eye.
Just magic.
Yeah, magically they're better.
Here's a little bit more from Kirby Smart earlier today.
Yeah, I don't know if it's transfer portal or the deterioration of football. Could be less people playing. High schools not having as much of an opportunity to develop kids because their practice regimen and practice schedule is tougher. It's a trickle up effect. So we get the guys coming from the high school level, but do we have the same number of players? So you can't blame the transfer portal for that. I think we lose some continuity in terms of guys that have been in the program multiple years. Therefore, your next statement of making it easier for a younger player to play, I don't know that it's any easier because he's up against guys that come out of the portal, but we have less guys that know and execute our system. And we're not even really considered a portal team. I mean, I don't know how many we've averaged over the last 4 years. I can't imagine it's even double digits. I mean, we don't have many guys coming from that. So, but it's not as much quality depth that I'm used to. But we probably have more than a lot of people.
I think he just said what I just said.
Yeah.
You
didn't hear it.
No, I swear, first time I heard that.
I thought you might like that. The 85 to 105, this is starting to gain a little bit more traction.
What do you mean by that?
Well, this answer is, I'm starting to hear it more and more from coaches now that this 105 number is kind of stuck in the entire media's head. And we heard it from John Cohen as well, the Auburn athletic director, last week.
Well, I don't think it's a made up thing.
No. You're missing where I'm going. Where you have the opportunity to go to 105, but
not really doing anything with it. I mean, we're focused on our team, our roster. We'll have to make some decisions. We have a timeline set apart for like the off weeks, different times in the season when we sit down and look at our roster currently, our roster next year, how that looks in terms of what do we have committed, what do we need, what are our numbers going to be. I think you're referring to the 85 versus the potentially 105, and there's a lot of gray area in that because you don't have to go to 105. A lot of people may choose to. I don't know that 105 scholarship players is the right way to go about it because you've got 105 NIL capabilities there. You've got more people that would be unhappy. You don't have walk-ons when you do that. And, I don't think it's set in stone yet that everybody's going to rush off and go to 105. That's a huge burden on the budget of the athletic department. And honestly, there's a lot of kids here that, I think do a great job for us as walk-ons, and you would be dismissing them to go out and say you're going to sign 20 more high school kids. So we really haven't gone down the path of the numbers yet.
So somebody's going to walk on at Georgia when they go get a scholarship for somebody else. Not going to happen. There you go. I mean,
starting to hear more about the budget.
But this is what the 105 is about, the budget. That's why they're doing it. So, I mean, it's I've
practically heard the same thing out of John Cohen last week.
135 players is what they're allowed to have now. I think that's right. 130, 135. They count as scholarships when it comes to Title IX. So what they're doing is going from 135 players to 105 They're making them where they all can be on scholarship because they're going to be paying them anyway to get the 105 there, whether it's by hook or crook. Not really crook anymore because you can do anything, but they're going to get them. So I
was about to ask what's illegal right now.
Yeah, there's nothing illegal. It sounds like stealing signals. And they're,
and then you got the communication device now.
Maybe
it's going to cure everything.
I doubt it. Somebody be dipping in on that, like Coach Dodd.
Can't wait for the NASCAR scanner, basically.
Yeah. So they'll figure out a way to get on that. It's just so nobody knows really what's going to happen. It's my total belief that all this is being put out there, trying to get the attention of, and what Sankey told us is it's getting all the attention of the Congress.
Yeah, that's
right.
What
This whole thing's about, I think, to get the attention of Congress.
There's a lot of truth in that.
So, basically, Sankey said it.
Yeah.
Everybody's wanting them to call the congressman because
how high does the bonfire need to be in order for DC to go, oh, look, there's a big giant fire over here?
Yeah, it's going to be, we'll figure it out January or February, I predict.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Former Michigan head football coach Jim Harbaugh will no longer serve as honorary captain for his beloved Wolverines as he continues to get his team ready for his second stint as a head football coach in the National Football League, this time as part of the Chargers. Wolverines coach Sharon Moore said today that Harbaugh called him late Monday night and said that he will not be attending Michigan's August 31st game against Fresno State, when the team will be celebrated and celebrate its national championship at the Big House. According to current Michigan head football coach Sharon Moore, Harbaugh said he wanted to remain focused on the Chargers and not take away from his Wolverines last year. Chargers open up the season on September the 8th against Las Vegas. Last week, the NCAA announced a 4-year show cause order for Coach Harbaugh due to impermissible recruiting violations during COVID-19. Shortly after the NCAA's ruling, Michigan athletic director and Ward Manuel told a podcaster, the One Star Recruits podcast, that Harbaugh had accepted an invitation to serve as an honorary captain for the opener. Moore also addressed his involvement in a separate NCAA investigation into the sign-stealing operation allegedly orchestrated by former Michigan staff member Connor Stallions. According to the draft, the NCAA's notice of allegations to Michigan obtained by ESPN, Moore could face also a suspension and other penalties for allegedly deleting a thread of 52 text messages with Connor Stallions 2 days before the NCAA took his phone in October of 2023.
That Harbaugh erased?
This is the current head football coach in Sharon Moore.
So he erased. Sharon Moore erased his
Yes.
text. Interesting.
According to the draft, Moore's texts were later recovered, and then he turned them over to NCAA enforcement staff. Moore said today that he is fully cooperating with the NCAA infractions process and added of the text thread, I look forward to them being released. End quote.
Sure it is. It's nuts.
Lane Kiffin also spoke with the media as NFL camp continues to progress there in Oxford, Mississippi.
We've had a good start to our camp. We've stayed relatively healthy. I think part of that is, as we discussed before, a ramp up type of camp schedule. And I thought Saturday, I thought the defense played really well. I thought the D line, especially the top guys, played extremely well. We're still shuffling some different ideas around offensive line and some different combinations. And, we came in kind of throwing more, to really gauge the quarterbacks after Jackson especially. So I think we got some good work done. We have a long ways to go. We still have, probably 2 significant portal players with injuries that we expect to be significant pieces to the season. So look forward to getting them back fully, hopefully here shortly.
That's Lane Kiffin. You want to unpack that for me there?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly. Defense whipped it off his ass. He don't like it. Yeah.
It does kind of – every time I hear Lane Kiffin, and as soon as I heard that come out of his mouth, well, of course that's why they didn't have a spring game.
Exactly.
Of course they didn't have – they had a little festival.
They didn't want anybody to get hurt.
Especially his.
Yes.
Coming up on the program today, the one, the only, Drudy Armon. He is going to join us. We'll talk some Bama with our morning show host. That comes up in hour number 2. Jesse Simonton from On 3 is going to join us. And Jesse is starting to get geared up towards college football season. Penned an article of the top 10 SEC players for this season in college football. And let's see here. Tyler Booker did not make the list. Harold Perkins did not make the list. Jackson Dart, he did not make the list. Who else did not make this list? Anyway, we'll talk about it with Jesse coming up later on here in this first hour.
Milroe make it?
Milroe made it. Number 9, by the way. Number 9 on the list.
Who's the quarterbacks in front of him?
Quinn Ewers is number 8. Carson Beck is number 6. And that's it for quarterbacks. So the top 5 are not quarterbacks.
So give it to me.
You want me to just go ahead and spill the beans?
Spill the beans.
All right, number 10 is Malik Williams. He is an edge player for the University of Georgia. Williams is moving from end to true edge this offseason. Number 9, as I mentioned, Jalen Milroe. And here's every one of them has a little bio underneath. Yeah. Milroe has led the SEC in total touchdowns.
Settle.
Led the SEC in total touchdowns.
So we got him at number 9.
Yeah. Okay. And
maybe
the great unknown is knowing how well he is going to mesh in the new Kalen DeBoer offense. After struggling badly against Texas last year and getting benched versus South Florida.
I wouldn't say he struggled badly.
Well, got benched. That's a fact. Milroe rebounded to lead the Tide to the SEC title. If he can limit the sacks, that makes me think if they can snap the ball to maybe his midsection, Milroe may rush for close to 1,000 yards this season. I'm going to put a pause right there. I'm going to go way over 1,000 in my book for Jalen Milroe rushing this year.
We'll see.
Buying, not buying?
Oh, I don't know.
In addition to throwing bombs to the likes of Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard. So that is the bio there for Jalen Milroe. Number 8 is Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback. Ewers has the most pure arm talent in the SEC.
It's hard to argue that.
He improved his accuracy tremendously in his second year for the Longhorns. He went from 58% the previous year to 69% last year. if he can stay healthy, seriously should contend for the Heisman Trophy this fall. Quinn Ewers, that is some of the talking points. Kelvin Banks, the left tackle at Texas, is number 7. Carson Beck, the Georgia quarterback, is number 6. Deion Walker had a chance to sit down with number 0, myself, at SEC Media Days. He is a big man. He is defensive tackle there for Kentucky and ranks number 5 on Jesse's list. Malik Starks, a defensive back at the University of Georgia, is number 4.
He's a good player.
Number 3 is Luther Burden, the wide receiver from Missouri. Back to the left tackle we go, this time LSU. Will Campbell, 6'6", 325 pounds, and is likely into the conversation to be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft class of 2025.
And he had a bunch of trouble barking Dallas Turner last year, that's for sure.
And number 1 is James Pierce, the edge rusher for the University of Tennessee. The blurb on him is a menace off the edge, might have the quickest pressure to the pass rusher in all of the country. He tied for the league in sacks with 10 and 53 pressures and his 460 snaps in 2023. He is a future top 10 pick.
So they're not a one running back mentioned?
How about that?
Interesting. Or wide receiver.
Well, Luther Burden.
Other than him, yeah. The Luther Burden thing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This game's changing right in front of us. Or is it?
No.
Same things win as always won?
Every time. Yeah. Nothing changes there.
I am happy to tell you that our phone lines are open and working, and heard from quite a few of you during the Tom Abraham show as I filled in for Tom while he was making his way from the Sunshine State back to the Volunteer State. Tom will be back on tomorrow from noon to 2, but if you'd like to give us a ring, you can do so on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline at 256-576-4977. We're live here at Full Moon Barbecue. Let's go ahead and take our first time out. Phone line's open to you if you'd like to join us. We'll talk a little college football on the other side right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. If you're planning a holiday or a birthday party, Full Moon has a large banquet room. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Just call us and we'll take care of everything. 256-713-0070. Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco. The best little pork house in Alabama.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Looking for your next game day party destination? Well, think outside the box and kick back at Flosa Premier. And you may be thinking, isn't that the trampoline place? Of course it is. But it's also the one-stop spot for all things fun. And if kicking back with the boys to watch the game is your jam, then you're in the right spot. Jump or not, Flo tends to all ages, meaning while you sit back and watch the game, but little Jimmy's having the time of his life perfecting that front flip he most definitely wants to show you. You got this, Jimmy. So next time you think Flo, think fun for everyone.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyAndersonFord.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
Back here, Full Moon Barbecue. Swing on by. We'd like to see you. We're here till 7. Braves winners last night in extra innings. It was a struggle just to stay up that late. I'm starting to get that old. But that was as good of a game as I've seen in quite a bit. Snell and Sale were just pitching toe-to-toe to each other. That game went scoreless into the 10th inning, and the Braves get a big win, 1-0 in San Francisco. Another one coming up later on tonight, and we'll have the coverage for you right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I believe it's Charlie Moulton. I think it's Charlie Moulton going tonight for the Braves. And then my guy, the jet ski owner, I really want Grant Holmes to own a jet ski. He goes tomorrow night for the Braves. Okay, we talked a lot about the AP poll yesterday. In 18 of the last 20 seasons of the preseason top 10, one team has finished unranked. And that leads to the top 10 here. The preseason top 10 is Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, and Florida State. So is there any of those teams that will finish unranked? This happened in 18 of the previous 20 seasons.
So who are they again? You got to go.
Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, and Florida State. This is all SEC, Big Ten, and one independent Notre Dame.
And every year somebody's been unranked?
18 of the last 20.
I'm guessing Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's schedule is very weak.
They play Texas A&M. Who else they play?
They do have Florida State on their schedule right off the top of my head, and they also have a road game at USC, but I'm thinking USC is a tad bit overrated. They have a road game at Purdue. So, I mean,
fight it.
Yeah. Get ready.
Indiana showdown.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Washington is going to. Not Washington, but Oregon is going to be as good as they say.
It's a transfer quarterback.
Yeah.
And it's a first-year transfer quarterback there at Oregon. Came from Oklahoma. But, I mean, it's same thing can be said for Florida State. DJU, I know, is bounced around, but it is kind of plug and play for Uwe Ungalale.
It ain't no plug and play. There's no such thing. That's a fallacy. You go to a totally different system. He's in his third system. In 3 years, he'll be out there calling the wrong play.
Florida State is taking on Georgia Tech next weekend in Dublin.
Does Florida State play Clemson? They play every year, I thought, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they do. Well, I'd like to take a look at their schedule anyway, just to kind of bear that out. I mentioned that game against Georgia Tech coming up next weekend, as a matter of fact. That's a 11 a.m. kick. Then it's Boston College, Memphis, Cal. Those are all home games. Then a road game at SMU. Then they play host to Clemson on October the 5th. So, yes, they do play Clemson. They are at Duke. They're at Miami. They host North Carolina. They are at Notre Dame.
So DJ is going home.
Yeah.
For a game anyway.
Yeah. And then the Buccaneers of Charleston Southern, and then Florida. That is at Doak this year. That is Florida State's schedule. They are ranked 10th. Well, there is multiple opinions on this brand spanking new poll that is out, and one of them comes from Fox Sports, and RJ Young ain't buying Bama.
Taking a look at the AP rankings, I got to tell you, I'm shocked at where Alabama is. I think they're overrated at number 5 because we're treating this Alabama team like it is still coached by Nick Saban, and it is not. Now, that is not to say that Kalen DeBoer is not one hell of a football coach. 104 wins and 116 times as a head coach, but I'm looking at the roster that they have, and it's Jalen Milroe and the Pips on the offense, and on the defense, it's Malachi Moore and the Pips, and we're talking about Kane Womack and Nick Sheridan going into their year ones as coordinators in what plans to be the deepest SEC that we've ever seen, and a team that is going to be up against it making the college football playoff against perhaps other one-loss teams like a Notre Dame. I think that LSU is underrated. Looking at my rankings, they're at number 7, and the AP has them at number 13. I think this could easily be one of the 3rd or 4th best teams in the SEC, which means they have an opportunity to make the college football playoff with a loss in conference. And if they get a double-digit win against USC in an SEC versus Big Ten matchup, I think you're going to see my rankings and the AP rankings change.
How old was that guy? 10? Who was that?
His name is R.J. Young from Fox Sports.
What is he, 10?
He's got
he
a
likes
full
LSU's roster. Has he not looked at their defensive line?
He's got the full beard going on.
Yeah, he needs to get some bass, a little bit of bass anyway.
Host of the number 1 show. That's the name of the show. That's what we should have done. We should have called this the number one show, even if it's not the.
Yeah.
Dadgummit.
What a great idea.
Let's call it the best damn sports show. Wait a second. That one's been taken too. And that didn't work out so well either. All right. And there was one other bit of audio that I would like to play for you, but I'm going to save it for the second hour. It's actually a back and forth between Paul Feinbaum and your girl, Heather Dinich.
My girl.
Yeah. You love hearing from Heather Dinich.
It's just
almost as equally as much as we enjoy. I don't want to say that about Jesse. Jesse's always been very kind to us. And Jesse Simonton from On 3 is scheduled to join us next. So let's go ahead and take her second time out here as we're live from Full Moon Barbecue. We'll go through his top 10 list and other stories.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
This summer, make it a Woody Anderson Ford. Make it 0% financing, make it no down payment, and make no payments for 90 days. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's our Ford summer sales event, and I promise you can save serious dollars on a large selection of our 2024 Fords. We've got financing as low as 0% for 36 months on 2024 F-150, Explorer, Expedition, Edge, Escape, plus all-electric F-150 Lightning and Mustang Mach-E. And on all these Fords I just mentioned, you'll make no down payment and no payments for 90 days. Can you say Orange Beach, here we come? This is going to be a good summer. Come choose from over 550 new Fords, and you'll learn firsthand that nobody will work harder to earn your business. Brand new award-winning Fords with 0% financing, no down payment, and no payment for 90 days with your good credit. This offer ends 9/3/24. Come see us today and make it a Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
It's an amazing time in our industry. Things are changing so rapidly. With digital signatures and workflow software, we help our customers work from anywhere. This helps you save time and money and upgrade your technology. Like I said, it's an amazing time to watch our customers grow and succeed.
Just ask anyone. Alliance Secret.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Situated downtown on Clinton Avenue, you'll find the Church Street family's take on delicious seafood and more. Sea Salt. At Sea Salt, the food speaks for itself. Fresh oysters, shrimp and lobster, and non-seafood fare. Plus a large selection of wines, regional and local beers on tap, and a full bar. Catch the downtown vibe with Sea Salt's unique outdoor city street and patio seating with a view of Jesse Andrews' mural, bringing an underwater world to life. No reservations necessary. Sea Salt, 114 Clinton Avenue.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-90s. Going to be a little more humid across the Tennessee Valley. We drop into the low 70s as we head into the overnight. Early into your Wednesday morning, a partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky. Wednesday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s. A couple of isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms certainly going to be possible. Again, a little more on the humid side of things. Temperatures drop again into the low 70s as we head into the overnight. A mostly sunny to partly sunny sky for your Thursday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
College football.
The ball is caught. It is a touchdown.
Major League Baseball.
That ball is gone. A home run.
This is your place for complete sports coverage all year long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
back here at Full Moon Barbecue. I'm sure our next guest would like to be here as well, especially with that plate of food coming on by. Our latest zone deal launches on Friday for Full Moon Barbecue. You get $50 for just $25. They go rather quickly, so plan accordingly. That is Friday morning at 8 a.m. He is the national college football columnist for On 3, and he is Jesse Simonton, who's kind enough to join us. Jesse, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. There's a lot to get into, and I initially reached out about your top 10 article, and you've done that for both the Big Ten and the SEC, but I couldn't help but notice your takeaways from the Associated Press poll. I wanted to start there with you on that article that came out yesterday on 3.
Yeah, where do you want to go? I thought it was pretty chalky, but not unexpected. I did a kind of a predicting the AP poll top 25 a week earlier, and I hit all 25 teams. I got some pushback putting on Iowa, putting on Kansas. But, lo and behold, those two teams made the field. Georgia at the top. You see kind of the chaos maybe with the Big 12, but overall, not too surprised with kind of how the rankings look.
9 SEC teams, though. You mentioned the chalk, and there's quite a bit of it, actually. But it does kind of lead into that conversation of the goals for these teams. It's always been conference championship. And I'm not saying conference championships don't matter. They do. All you got to do is take a look at to get that golden ticket to get into the college football playoff, and especially to get one of those top 4 places. But it does feel like maybe there is some shifting a little bit of how to get yourself playing your best football in the month of November and December.
Yeah, it's going to be, I don't want to put the cart before the horse because it is going to be interesting to see how some of these teams approach those last few weeks of the season. Do you have a chance, get a bye by winning the conference championship, or do you think it would behoove your roster of actually, almost like, punting on maybe playing for a conference title because you think they need to rest up and get healthy? So, especially when there's been so much conversation, lately about that number 5 seed and just, the potential of the benefit, from getting to play the 12, which would be the G5, and then perhaps the weakest of the Power 5 conference in the Big 12. So we'll see. I do think that, this is a season, whether it's Ole Miss, whether it's, Missouri, Penn State, I think you can kind of circle some of these teams. We've talked about them a bunch already this offseason. You can circle some of these teams that they're all in. This is their year. Their teams are going to look completely different a year from now. So they have to take advantage, and we'll see if they can pull it off.
Well, and that also, you mentioned how much chalk has been in the AP Top 25 that was released yesterday, and a group of 5 is just out there just waiting to steal a spot themselves, and a group of 5 is out there, and this is really a year for that type of team to come up and really play spoiler.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm skeptical that they're not going to be much more than roadkill pretty much every season in that 12th spot. I mean, that's some tough sledding. Just their rosters, the talent acquisition makeup of what they'll be going up against. We kind of saw Liberty a year ago. They didn't play anybody. They rolled through the regular season undefeated. They have Caden Salter, who's awesome, and they got just completely mollywopped against Oregon, who didn't even have a bunch of guys playing. I know Bo Nix played, but they had several other guys sit out. So we'll see. I do think the AP voters, kind of tip their hand a little bit at maybe who are these G5 teams that they already have circled. I mentioned Liberty. My pick in my playoff projections that came out last week at On 3 was Boise State. They were right there behind Liberty in the just receiving vote, so not in the top 25, but in the top 27, 28. The other couple teams I think to keep an eye on, Memphis, Hennigan at quarterback, what they have, and then Appalachian State and Tulane. So those are the teams that all received votes, and so I think that the early indications are those are at least the teams on most AP voters' radar to start the season.
Yeah, now that we have at least something to go by here with the AP, and I know the coaches poll came out as well, of just kind of rewiring my brain a little bit on how to look at a top 12, because we're all thinking top 12, but it's really not top 12, Jesse.
Yeah, I mentioned this again. I alluded to my playoff piece. I made that very point that, everyone's going to have to do a little bit of rewiring and just kind of really pay attention and kind of understand how the machinations of the playoff work. Case in point, I had a lot of feedback or they were not exactly happy with me in Happy Valley that Penn State got left out. Well, Penn State was ranked 11th in my preseason poll. It's just that the way the field played out, because I had Utah lower, and so they ended up becoming the Big 12 rep, and then I had Boise State as the automatic qualifier from the Group of 5. Penn State just got the short end of the stick. I mean, this 12-team playoff has been made almost explicitly for a team like Penn State, that's played little brother to Michigan and Ohio State for so many years in the Big 10, and yet there's a very plausible scenario where, they could be ranked, 11th or 12th and be on the outside looking in. Tennessee, same thing. LSU, same thing.
All right, let's move over to your top 10 list. I almost feel like I need a Letterman, drum roll right here. But I'm just showing my age more than anything, Jesse. But nonetheless, tell me about diving into the top 10 and how difficult a procedure was this for you to write.
Yeah, this is always one of these exercises. I've done this the last couple of years that I've been the national columnist at On 3. It's a fun exercise because it does kind of challenge really the individual, and obviously this is subjective. I mean, I'm a columnist; that's my job. But it's how you kind of view these players, kind of take in, obviously NFL upside, past production, future performance. And when you're talking about a conference now that has 16 teams, 18 teams, going through these leagues, 17 from the ACC, they'll come out tomorrow. It's really hard to whittle it down to 10 guys. I mean, you're talking about multiple All-Americans in the SEC that missed the cut. They didn't even make honorable mention. Oklahoma fans were apoplectic that Billy Bowman and Stutzman, Danny Stutzman, the linebacker, didn't make it. And that's just, I mean, it's a hard list. I mean, I had, Harold Perkins a year ago really high in my top 10. This year he was an honorable mention, and he absolutely, come the season in, could be the number one player in the SEC. But I think we have to see it. So I think there has been a fairly strong consensus that my pick for the first couple guys was pretty strong. I mean, James Pierce, he may not be a household name at Tennessee or nationally, but he will be this fall. And he's going to be a top 5 pick. Will Campbell, you guys know LSU a lot. I mean, he's been a starter since day one. He and Kelvin Banks, who was also the left tackle at Texas and within my top 10, maybe the two best, tackles in the country. And then Malachi Starks at Georgia, the safety. He's just kind of the do everything center fielder for the Bulldogs. He's an unbelievably reliable tackler from the defensive back position. Oh, and he also happens to be a ball hawk. Who's come up with some big time interceptions. So I think the top 3, I think it's hard to kind of quibble with those. And then, maybe it's a little bit of the eye of the beholder. Should Beck be higher? Why isn't Jackson Dart on there? There's some other questions, so to speak. But I think all in all, it's a solid list.
No quarterbacks in your top 5 as well, which I found interesting, but was that on purpose, or is that just how it fell when you did what you needed to do to make up this top 10 list?
Yeah, again, I it's, I don't have like an A plus B, plus C equals, D formula. But it isn't totally random either. And so I think Carson Beck is going to be unbelievable. He absolutely could be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft in 2025. I just think for this season, the guys that I had listed ahead of him, are just better players.
Fair enough. And at least hearing from these coaches, I'm really intrigued, talking to Jesse Simonton right now from On3, of the different approaches that some of the coaches are taking, most notably Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, adopting this NFL style and very little contact. And with that lure, at least in the back of his head, that we are perceiving this Ole Miss team potentially going on a very long run. It's intriguing to me to see coaches doing things, at least from the outside, looking a lot different on the college realm, Jesse.
Yeah, and for Lane in particular, it's an interesting strategy just because what's the biggest question that we have about Ole Miss? It's can they hold up physically on the lines of scrimmage? So obviously they're being protective with these players in fall camp and taking, a less contact approach to some of their preseason practices. But could that backfire when, it was a year ago that Lane went on the record that, hey, we got our tail licked at Georgia because we just couldn't hold up in the trenches. They'll get to play the Bulldogs again this fall, obviously. So we'll see. I mean, Ole Miss is a fascinating team because, again, they're going all in. But they don't, as good as this roster is, and it might be the best roster ever in Oxford, they still don't have the depth that Alabama, that Georgia, that Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, I would say those top 5 rosters, possess. And so even though Ole Miss has got a nice, number next to their name to start the season, they're still not exactly in that same tier with those other programs. So taking this unique approach, we'll see if it pays off or if it's something that, backfires on them in the end.
But you talk about how depth. I went to Alabama scrimmage. They have depth. They're a bunch of young guys, though. Same as we heard Kirby talking today. That doesn't have the depth that they used to have. I don't think anybody has the depth that they once had with experienced guys, because a lot of these guys haven't played. And if you come from a different system, I don't care who you are, it's going to take time before you're 100%. I mean, we saw that even with the Heisman Trophy, the winner last year. The year before, he struggled the first 6 games until he finally got it. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't think, and Kirby said the same thing today, I don't think these teams have the depth that they used to have, 100%.
No, they don't. Wes, they don't. But I would say, and I saw Kirby's comments, and I did kind of chuckle at him because he's right, and you're right. The rosters do look different than they did 5 years ago because of the transfer portal. The talent has been spread out to some degree. That degree is still quite small when you're talking about the margins, that there's only 5 or 6 teams, I think, that can win the national championship anyways. Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Oregon are in that group because, yes, the depth may not be quite as good, but they still have 4 and 5 stars behind them, albeit young, but guys that are ready to play, whereas these other teams have 3 stars or a walk-on or nobody at all to put in. And when you're talking about the longest season in college football history, maybe having to win 15, 16 games, that's going to be the difference. The fact that you can get a mulligan or 2, you don't have to go undefeated anymore. You can take a bad loss. You can take a loss where your young guys are running around, with their chicken with their head cut off. And 3 weeks later, all of a sudden they're looking like Georgia's linebackers did, late in the year against Ole Miss when they were freshmen early. And then suddenly they're, tackling Jackson Dart for sack on sack. So depth is different in 2024, but the teams that still have the most talent are still the deepest teams, and that's what's going to matter the most this fall in the 12-team playoff.
Man, you don't disagree with what you just said for sure. But you look at Georgia. Georgia doesn't have a number 1 pick defensive tackle like they had. They used to have 3 or 4 defensive number 1 picks at defensive tackle. You look at Alabama, same thing. To me,
21's a long time ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Alabama. They don't have a number 1 that I see, that unless he emerges late, a defensive tackle.
I would argue that outside of Michigan, that's not exactly a strong position for a lot of teams this season anyways, which is why you saw so many programs, Oregon, Ole Miss with Walter Nolan, pay a premium in the transfer portal for those guys. The two guys that left Michigan State, they got buku money. Texas loses, Byron Murphy and Young from a year ago. I would say that for Alabama, they're just doing it a little bit differently. Same for Georgia. Georgia does not have the defensive tackles that they had in the past with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. But I think they feel way better about their edge rushers than they ever have. Maybe in the last 4 or 5 years under Kirby Smart, they really like they have 4 or 5 5-star guys at linebacker all vying for spots. So these teams are just going to do it a little bit differently. And we'll kind of see how it ultimately pans out.
I did want to circle back at least to and reading the overrated and underrated, but I off of that a little bit on the AP top 25 of we've been speculating a good bit on the numbers of teams, and I've been kind of holding steadfast on that top 4 tier. You want to be in the top 4, and I still maintain minimum at 4. But when I see 9 teams out of the SEC getting ranked, I know it's the Associated Press poll. I know it doesn't count in terms of what it means in the college football playoff, but is 5, you think, a reasonable number to look at, you think, come December?
Yeah, well, and you're right. The AP poll doesn't actually carry any merit in terms of how the rankings technically play out. But I think it does shape narrative and is kind of the measure that the committee kind of uses, especially initially. And so when you see that many SEC teams in the top 25, there's obviously going to be some natural carnage just within the league of all these teams playing each other. But that's why I think fans are going to have to get used to the fact, you're going to see a lot of 9-3 SEC teams in this thing. Because I think there's going to be very few undefeated teams on an annual basis. And so if you start going down 11-1, 10-2, okay, that 10, 11, 12th ranked team suddenly might be a 9-3 team, from LSU or a Texas A&M, sneaks in there. So it would not surprise me if they got 5. I do think 4 is kind of the floor.
Jesse, thank you so much for hopping on, and it's fun to start talking about matchups. And just as a quick sidebar, I really think Notre Dame, if they don't win that first game at A&M, that they are in a world of hurt because of how bad that schedule is. I know they're playing Florida State. I get that. But, 3 road games, it just feels like a play-in game right out of the gate for Notre Dame for me.
Yeah, I guess my closing thought there was I think if they lose in College Station week 1, they have to run the table because they need to beat USC and Florida State, I think.
Yeah. Jesse, always appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Wes.
Jesse Simonton from On 3, a top 10 list. Jalen Milroe led the SEC in total touchdowns. We are live here at Full Moon Barbecue. We'll talk some more Tide on the other side with Drew DeArmond, who's here in the house. How'd we get him here to Full Moon?
Food.
What? Blasphemy. You can come on by as folks are starting to make their way into the dining room here at Full Moon Barbecue. I haven't forgotten about you, Brian. I promise. We'll be back.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Buying that perfect home is one of the most important financial decisions you'll ever make. So it's crucial that you have the right partner to help you through the process. Hi, I'm Stuart Evans, Mortgage Loan Officer for Bryant Bank, and I'm here to tell you that we are that partner. We offer a variety of mortgage products to fit your unique home buying situation in a changing rate environment. That kind of hassle-free approach might not be what you'd expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give me a call today or visit me at our downtown Huntsville office and let me show you what banking beyond expectation is all about.
Bryant Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick DeLuca. Knee surgery for J.J. McCarthy, Vikings first-round quarterback, to have a procedure on his right knee after suffering a torn meniscus during his preseason debut on Saturday. Doctors still evaluating whether it'll require a partial repair or a full fix that could cost him the season. Head coach Kevin O'Connell with the latest on the Vikings quarterback room.
Sam's had a really good camp, and my confidence level in Sam is very, very high at this point, and looking forward to seeing him continue his progression. And I know his teammates and the rest of the coaching staff have been really enthused about what Sam's done. And like I said, my confidence level is really high in Sam.
O'Connell on SportsCenter. Sam Darnold had been taking most of Minnesota's first-team snaps at camp. He'll likely begin the season as the starter. Elsewhere, Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase absent from practice for the first time in training camp as he seeks a contract extension. Chase had been holding in, attending but not participating in practice, entering year 4 of his rookie contract. He's been a Pro Bowler each of his first 3 NFL seasons. In baseball, Yankees third baseman Jazz Chisholm is headed to the IL, suffered a UCL injury in his left elbow after a headfirst dive in last night's loss to the White Sox. Still undecided if he'll need surgery or how long he might be out. Yankees coming into play tonight against the White Sox, half a game back of the Orioles for first in the American League East.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Wednesday, Trevor Lawrence got paid this offseason. I'll tell you if he can regain the crown as the best QB in the AFC South. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
.97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Back here for hour number 2 at Full Moon Barbecue. Again, our latest zone deal launches Friday morning for Full Moon. You get $50 worth of Full Moon Barbecue for just $25.
2 minutes. That's what I give it. 2 minutes.
2 minutes? The over-under is at 2 minutes.
Yeah.
We shall see. That is Drew DeArmond, and he's brought to you by Environmental Comfort Systems, located online.
Carrabba's was 30 seconds, by the way.
envcomfort.com.
There's a lot of my friends that didn't get in on it that were a little upset, but I don't control that. All I know is bam.
We've got a lot of places that are.
I went to one for breakfast. I'm still recovering.
How are you, Drew?
I'm good. By the way, we have a new Drew-nary term. I know you were just talking to Jesse Simonton. That program is now going to be until the end of time. I'm going to call them 1988 now. I don't really have a name for them. I just call them 1988.
That'd be the Golden Domers. Yeah, you just want to call them Rudy, or you just want to?
No, I love that movie. So, but no, 1988. That's what I'm calling them. So, there you go.
Played quite a bit from Kirby Smart, who spoke to the media today, and I don't know if you heard, but Kirby was getting a little snarky with the media.
He's channeling his inner Saban.
You think, is this the inner Saban right here?
Well, I mean,
when you talk about the depth of your team, can you identify one or two areas in particular that are most concerning at this stage?
Yes.
Can you identify it with us?
No. That's worse than Saban. We would have heard like a 2-minute soliloquy on comparisons or something, or guys needing to earn it. But again, just like Wes has always said that Coach Stallings sounded and acted and handled himself just like Coach Bryant. Kirby is a lot like Nick Saban in the way he's wired. So, I was on another radio station out of state earlier today, and they asked me, is Kirby the king of the mountain right now? And he'd have to be. He's arguably, one touchdown away from having a back-to-back 15-0 seasons and, and 3 straight national championships. So until somebody knocks him off the mountain with Nick Saban gone, this version of Michael Myers moved on. So we'll just have to see what Kalen DeBoer can do in year one, and he'll get his opportunity at the end of September. Kirby's coming to Tuscaloosa again, and the last time he came there in 20, he's still watching Jalen Waddle. So
they never covered him. That's for sure.
And I still say the groundbreaking moment of that game, Alabama was still losing the game.
Yeah.
But it was when Will Reichert made a 53-yard field goal at the end of the half. And it really set Will Reichert on a path the rest of that season to perfection. And Alabama came back and won the game. Georgia was controlling the football game in the first half.
My favorite part of covering you Bama fans
we make a field goal, we get excited.
It's every single time that there's a 40-plus yard field goal made.
Man, 40,
you guys just go bananas.
We've missed so many. We've missed so many.
Steve, you remember before your heart was broken? How wide was the kick?
It wasn't even close. I could have done better.
All I'm thinking about is Kevin Butler against.
I could have done the 2 stretch thing. I'd done better.
Yeah,
I probably missed it, but
Kevin Butler against the
I think
Tigers.
of my late second father, Wayne Gambrell, what his analogy would have been if he'd have had. He passed away right before the season started in 2012, so he didn't see that kick. Matter of fact, the last game we ever watched together was when Alabama, won it all in 11 and destroyed LSU. And I was over at his place, but he would have turned and told me, you couldn't have put a 20-penny nail at the crack of the kicker's what when he made the pass at that. That's what he would have told me. Okay. And the sad thing is that he had a good year. Papanastis had a good year. But he was just, I could tell the way Damian Harris, who's now the new sideline reporter for Alabama.
How about that?
I could tell the way he was talking to him and everybody was trying to pump him up.
I was like, talk to the kicker.
Oh, Lord. I was like, this is not good. You need to score a touchdown.
I remember getting the speech, and I've talked about this before, from Wesley, what Alabama's game plan was when they beat LSU. And I'd said before all week that LSU was going to win the game. I didn't think there was a way Alabama could beat them. And then Wesley told me the game plan, and they'd hired us. That's the first time they hired the psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever, and they weren't allowed to talk to the kicker. And the kicker had instructions to not look at anybody that came to talk to him, turn his head. And if you watch the thing, somebody comes and tries to talk to him before the first field goal, and he turns his head, right? That if the guy that missed the 5 field goals in the Alabama game, the first one, if he was out there, it was fake. That unknown certain terms was he going to kick a field goal. And they weren't going to punt the ball to the Honey Badger. They're punting it 30
smart.
yards out of bounds. And one time he did catch it. He liked to broke it. He broke a tackle, and then they smoked him. And they attacked the Honey Badger too during the game.
Norwood,
with the passes that only Alabama guys could catch, and there were dig routes to the sideline where they were throwing that fade for either him to catch or not, and trying to attack the Honey Badger with the running right at him because he makes his play away. Everything. In other words, the game plan was decided by the psychiatrist. And it was a brilliant game plan where they shut LSU totally out and won 25-0. Where in a game, they never lost momentum one time. It was an amazing thing. And then you go fast forward.
Is that the game that LSU never crossed the 50?
Never crossed the 50. But you fast forward.
Ask Moscona.
To where Georgia, in their year they won that first championship, hired a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
To come up with a team motto, a whole 9 yards. So, I I think there's a lot to that, and I can go back and look when Coach Saban started talking different, talking in different terms than he would have ever talked before. And basically, his team had a message every year. They worked on the message, what it was going to be, what the team. And I think Kirby's doing that now too. And I think there's a lot to this. I'm not sure Alabama's still doing it. Hopefully they are.
Well, the amazing thing about the two games in that 2011 season, Alabama and LSU, and that included the overtime in Tuscaloosa that LSU won on the walk-off kick, a field goal, is that they played, you could technically say 9 quarters, and there was one offensive touchdown. And it was Trent Richardson late to ice it because Shelley kicked 5 field goals, as Wes was referring to, in the game. It was 15-0. And then his touchdown where he broke down the sideline finally upped it to 21-0 to drive the stake into the deal, the nail in the coffin. But it was amazing. I mean, the talent on the field for those two teams, and then to have, stupid national media people like Pete Fatuak trying to say it's bad football. It's called you don't know football. It's great players on both sides of the ball going toe-to-toe in the best conference, and it just so happened the two best teams were in the same division.
And all those guys, you go look at them. How many are still playing?
Yeah. I mean,
how many played in the NFL? It's nuts.
It's crazy. I was watching the Saints this weekend, highlights, and Kool-Aid's wearing 34. Who's the guy standing next to him, 32, the Honey Badger, who's in his 12th year already in the league?
Weighed 165 pounds in that game.
I mean,
this is just unbelievable. He was a freshman in that game.
Was that not the last game he ever played for LSU because of his issues?
Yes.
I believe it was.
Never passed the drug test the whole time he was there. Great teammate. Never caused any trouble. Never was in any trouble.
Super Bowl champion. He's been there in 12 years. Look, the NFL don't waste time with people with off-the-field issues if you're going to not do what you're supposed to do.
Well, he got his stuff straight.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. And, thanks to Patrick Peterson's family. And it's great to see guys like that got a second chance. And Coach Saban talks about and does so well with it.
Yeah.
Because he's mentoring those young kids. You can tell.
Yeah.
The way he did the interview, you can tell, he's not. He
played a little bit from the Honey Badger earlier in the week.
Well, and don't forget, the one Saban always tells the story about, too, is a kid he had at Michigan State, Moose Muhammad, who went on to be a really good all-pro wide receiver.
Second chances.
But his son is a wide receiver at Texas A&M and is a really good player. So, again, he just talked about, if I'd kicked him off the team like everybody wanted, now he owns his own company. He's got 7 kids.
That guy is good. He's a wide receiver also as well. Yeah,
so,
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's made plays against Alabama. That's his son.
Yeah, and 2 years ago in Tuscaloosa.
We also started off yesterday about scrimmage number 1. Wes, I didn't get the chance to ask you in particular. Stack up wise, talent for talent, Nick's last team to Kalen's first team.
This defense had more talent. You had Dallas Turner. There's no Dallas Turner out there.
Braswell's a good player.
Braswell's a good player. There's nobody. I will say, I think that the guy from Texas A&M is close to Braswell. Not quite as polished yet, but he's still learning the system, right? I mean, Braswell was in his 4th year of the same system. This kid's going to be good.
But Milroe scrimmage 1 last year to scrimmage 1 this year.
There's no comparison. No comparison.
Well, I mean, that's what
I hate to be hyperbole.
Yeah.
But Jalen Milroe had the best scrimmage I've seen since anybody's been there.
And I remember the first time you laid eyes on Tua and what you had to say about him.
Yeah.
It was a spring scrimmage.
But Tua is different because Tua had all those receivers.
Yeah. And he was more polished. Milroe's come so far. All the work he's put in.
And Tua was a very effective runner.
Yeah.
This guy is a rocket jet, dude. He is so fast. I mean, it's like watching Michael Vick. He might be faster than Michael Vick. I don't think he has as much.
I'll never forget the run at Mississippi State last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's just shot out of a cannon. Yeah,
he did.
Yeah,
he shot out of a cannon now. The guy can fly.
Yeah,
and he's big. He's a
6'2",
big
225 pounds. I've been around him.
I guarantee he weighs more than 225. You want to bet me?
I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, he is one solid dude. Now, will he have that edge? He plays a lot better when he has that edge.
Yeah.
He played a lot better after he was benched. Now, but everybody says he didn't play bad against Texas last year. We had the lead in the fourth quarter. We couldn't stop him in the fourth quarter. I mean, he had one turnover. He had 2 bad turnovers in the game.
Lost by double digits at home.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that sounds good, doesn't it? Not by 3 touchdowns. We'd been number 1 the rest of the year, like Ohio State. Lose by 3 touchdowns, make the playoffs twice. That's just at home. I don't want to hear it. I mean,
well, come on, we can call them 2005 if we'd like to.
Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of like, he looks really good. I don't think the receivers. I think the receivers are good, but they're not 3 number 1 draft picks right out there.
But I think they're underrated. I think they were developing, and
they are developing.
I think the coaching is better. The development. I like what I've heard about Cole Adams, who is a guy that really wasn't talked about.
Yeah, he's going to play. He's going to make plays too.
Yeah, he got hurt when he was a senior in high school, missed the majority of that year. Then he got nicked last
Small
year.
Dude, though.
Yeah,
Not a big dude.
And he's had to get healthy and get confident. But it's what I always say, Wes. When you change coaches, sometimes it puts a new lease on life on a kid.
No, I think he'd have played
him
because he's going to catch the ball.
He's going to be Slade Bolden, but faster. He's going to be a guy that's in the right place all the time.
Little quicker.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
So who would you compare Ryan Williams to? Who's the guy that reminds you? He's not a big dude.
No, he's a combination of 2 people, and I've said this repeatedly, and it puts pressure on a kid. Coach Saban would talk about external factors and go on a rant about comparisons, but just watching his tape in high school, and I never had the pleasure of seeing him live in person, but I watched several games on television and watched tape and everything like that. But he reminds me of a combination of 2 all-time greats at Alabama. Devontae Smith, because of his build and his ability to separate. And then
he's not as tall as Devontae.
No, he's
Smith,
not.
though.
But his lateral stuff and the things he can do to make you miss in a phone book, or booth, it reminds me of David Palmer.
Now, see,
he looks
like
Devontae
David
Smith.
Palmer to me.
Yeah,
that's who he's built like to me. Not very big at all. Looks like he's not gonna. Like when you line up against him, you're like, is this little dude? Well, this is a little dude, right? Like David Palmer was. And then next thing you know, he was gone. I don't think he has the quickness of David Palmer.
I've never seen anybody else that did, though, as far as his evolution.
I agree. So I don't think he's David Palmer. He looks like David Palmer.
Right.
What he does look like David Palmer is when the ball's in the air. He's going to catch it.
David had the best hands I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's going to find a way to get it. He's going to twist. He's going to turn. He has David Palmer could contort his body anywhere to make the ball come to his hands.
Yeah.
I mean, he could dive. He made some of the best plays I've ever seen. If you saw David Palmer in person, you could, if somebody walked up and knew him, didn't know who he was, you would have never guessed he'd be a football player. Kind of like the Honey Badger. Never think he'd be a football player.
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing you think that David Palmer was a football player, but he was one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so was the Honey Badger. Might be pound for pound one of the best players ever.
How much of Ryan Williams are we going to see?
He'll start
the first game.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm sticking.
He started the first scrimmage.
I'm sticking to my. Everybody's asked me this already. How quickly will he be involved? Will it be by Georgia or whatever?
He scored a touchdown on their first series.
Yeah, I mean, look, David was the same way. I've heard this about. This is the third person, the third wide receiver I've heard this about when they arrived at Alabama. The first was David Palmer in '91. All this stuff I started hearing coming out of practice, even as a kid. You read all these beat writers and everything. David Palmer, remember that name, David Palmer. And I had never even seen him in high school, so I didn't even know what I was about to witness. And then the other one was Julio Jones. And we all remember all that stuff that got leaked out, the practice footage. Saban had an aneurysm because he was running over people that were future NFL players already. And this is the third. And Ryan Williams. I've already been asked this many times. How big of a role will he have early? And I said he'll start against Western Kentucky, and my predicted stat line is 7 catches, a touchdown, and over 100 yards, and pandemonium. That's just what I'll say from the fan base after they see him.
Yeah, he's going to make plays. There's no doubt. Yeah.
So I think he's special. I think he's like that, I think he's Brock Bowers as a wide receiver.
I wouldn't go like that. Brock Bowers is free. He's the biggest freak of nature.
And think about him. He was a 4-star that nobody even knew about until he got to Georgia, like as far as expectation.
Yeah.
And then by about the third or fourth game, you're like, uh-oh.
Well, he runs a 4.4 and can do a backflip. And he weighs 245 pounds and 6'3", 6'4". He's an incredible athlete.
It kind of reminds me of David.
You sit there and
David
watch
Palmer.
him, and he doesn't look that fast, but nobody ever catches him.
Because as soon as I saw David Palmer,
am I right or wrong?
No, you're right.
Yeah. And I think Georgia's going to miss him. It's going to be interesting to see how they develop. Georgia develops, and who's going to be the playmakers.
So I also played a little bit of Lane Kiffin in the first hour. I'm getting a bunch of joy of Lane Kiffin talking about his defense because this is Mr. Offense.
Yeah.
And he's got Wild Turkey on defense, so that's interesting.
He is just
Wild Turkey's not a bad coach. He proved it last year. They won more games at Ole Miss than ever won before.
I've got to make it in the playoff. Getting whacked, but I got to make it in the playoff.
Well, I think they're going to have one of the best defenses in the country.
Lane Kiffin.
We've had a good start to our camp. We've stayed relatively healthy. I think part of that is, as we discussed before, our ramp up type of camp schedule. And I thought to sum up Saturday, I thought the defense played really well. I thought the D line, especially the top guys, played extremely well.
What about the O coach?
Still shuffling some different ideas around offensive line and some different combinations. And, we came in kind of throwing more, to really gauge the quarterbacks after Jackson especially. So I think we got some good work done. We have a long ways to go. We still have, probably 2 significant portal players with injuries that we expect to be significant pieces to the season. So look forward to getting them back fully, hopefully here shortly.
He sounds like he has a bad case of acid reflux from watching the film. Is that not true? Is that not what it sounds like?
Yeah, especially late.
It sounds like it, yeah.
A little acid reflux action.
Well, there's no telling how late he was up. If you believe all the stories about Lane, I do.
Well, I think those are all in the past, though, really. I think he's settled down a lot. What I hear. His kids are living with him and changed his life, which is it had to happen or he would not be still coaching. So the stories you hear are true, no doubt. When he was at Alabama, I don't know how he had time to coach.
Me either.
Did not end well.
No, he did not.
At Alabama.
I've said it a million times. He's the only coach Saban ever had that didn't make it to the end. And he got canned before the national championship game.
Sure did.
And he wasn't the only coach though that had issues. Now,
no,
they had a. I don't know how they ever won as many games they did. But Coach Moran had some guys on their staff that were just Dude Hennessy. He got let go. Only Coach Moran fired, and of course he got him a job. And
I thought he fired multiple coaches in multiple games.
Yeah, but they always came back. That is 100%.
Ken Donahue many times.
Yeah, but dude, he hit a train.
Excuse me?
Yeah, the train didn't hit him; he hit the train.
Right, I've heard that story. Yeah.
I've not heard this story.
Dude, he hit. Well, he just was
just hit a train.
Yeah, I didn't see it. That's the best way to put it, I guess.
R.I.P.
Oh yeah, I love that dude, man.
Steve. I don't know if you've ever watched that Legends reunion back in 04. Actually, it was 03. You got to watch it.
Yeah,
Billy and Wes were part of it, but you got to. The dude told some stories.
Yeah, he's so funny.
Oh my God!
Can we air these?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, there's no cussing.
Okay.
Well, dude, there's some good stories because
look him up on YouTube. You can find some of them.
When he used to start talking, at one time, before Mal became athletic director, he was a part of the the guy that go out and identify potential donors.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the dude would ride around and go see alumni, and he'd start talking. Dude start talking, and Mal start squirming, scared about the story he was going to tell on Mal. He just starts
Dude
squirming.
Hennessy,
Yeah.
the one and only.
Yeah.
I'll never forget I'm not going to tell the whole story. Just that he was supposed to scout a certain team, and Coach Bryant told him to scout the team, and he got up there and he spoke. And then he was walking past Coach Bryant to go out on the practice field, and Coach Bryant turned to him and said, "Did you even watch the damn game?
Did you go to it? Did you see the game? Any part of the game?" They said that dude was writing down what they did with one hand and was erasing it with the other hand while he was watching it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Apparently he missed the game.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be out scouting the game in off week. He didn't make it to the game.
Wasn't the train, but
yeah.
Hit the train.
Yeah. He hit the train. Apparently didn't see it.
Come on by and hit the brisket here at Full Moon Barbecue. We are here till 7 o'clock. We need to take our first time out. Phone lines open to you on the other side at 256-576-4977. We will be right back.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
This summer, make it a Woody Anderson Ford. Make it 0% financing, make it no down payment, and make no payments for 90 days. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's our Ford summer sales event, and I promise you can save serious dollars on a large selection of our 2024 Fords. We've got financing as low as 0% for 36 months on 2024 F-150, Explorer, Expedition, Edge, Escape, plus all-electric F-150 Lightning and Mustang Mach-E. And on all these Fords I just mentioned, you'll make no down payment and no payments for 90 days. Can you say Orange Beach, here we come? This is going to be a good summer. Come choose from over 550 new Fords, and you'll learn firsthand that nobody will work harder to earn your business. Brand new award-winning Fords with 0% financing, no down payment, and no payment for 90 days with your good credit. This offer ends 9/3/24. Come see us today and make it a Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
It's time to get ready for game day. That means Alabama football and tailgating. Whether you're tailgating at home or at Bryant-Denny, visit Brooks & Collier for North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers like Big Green Egg, Blaze, Delta Heat, Memphis, and Traeger. Satisfy any palate with our wall of rubs and seasonings. For all your tailgating needs, visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for over 75 years. Roll Tide.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
Southern Nights. Have you ever felt the
Back here at Full Moon Barbecue, Jordy Armand visiting with us, enjoying some, well, not yet, but we're going to enjoy some brisket, I imagine, later on. Wes already has.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, the brisket's outstanding and food's outstanding. I mean, you can just draw people in here. If they could give me some cologne with the smell, I could draw people.
So I did on YouTube found this Kenny Stabler.
Oh yeah,
remembering the Sugar Bowl back in the day.
Always remember a play in the Sugar Bowl. We were playing Nebraska in the Sugar Bowl in 1967 Sugar Bowl game, and they were a heavy favorite. They were a much bigger, stronger team than we were. We were number 3 in the country. I think they were number 2 or something. And first play of the game, we walk out of the locker room. We're walking onto the field, out of the locker room, down the side of the field. And it had been drizzling rain all weekend long down in New Orleans, and a wet field probably favors Nebraska, bigger, stronger team, probably ran the ball a little better than we did. And coming out of the locker room, we get right in the corner of the end zone. It had been drizzling rain all weekend. And I swear to God, he stepped on the field and it quit raining. And so we're walking, it did. It quit raining, and we're walking down the sideline, and he had that Chesterfield. He smoked those non-filtered Chesterfields, and he's looking out from under that houndstooth hat, and he was always going. And so we're walking down to midfield and first play of the game, and he looked at me and he said, "Stabler, I want you to throw the ball just as far as you can throw the son of a bitch on the first play." And then later, one of the offensive coaches, Ken Meyer, came over and said he wants you to run 55 sprint out, and Perkins does a little down and out, and it was the first play of the Sugar Bowl, and the Perkins catches it, and we score 6-7 plays later, and for all practical purposes, the game was probably over. But just the way he phrased things, said things, and it's a hard question to answer when you go around and you travel and somebody says, "What's it like playing for Coach Bryant?" It's hard to explain that unless you've been around him and see the effect he has on people. We would play teams that were always bigger. We'd play teams, whether it be Tennessee, Auburn, Mississippi State, whoever, play teams that were always bigger, always faster, always more of them, and we always won.
They always did.
No doubt.
Because they had people like Stabler throw a ball. Go watch some tape on that guy. He's a hell of a player.
And how he could run the football.
Yeah, he could run
Auburn in the mud.
Yeah, he also complete dog out of passes. He was an unbelievable. And his receivers, I mean, they act like they didn't have anybody. Ray Perkins played the NFL forever.
Dennis
Homan were the 2 wide receivers. Both of them played in the NFL forever. Both of them won championships in the NFL. It wasn't like they didn't have, including Saber. They had some players. I mean, but they also had 2 or 3 that weren't any good. They just didn't know it. Right? They just played. I think Bill Curry actually said something recently that is a hell of a compliment. He says the thing about when they're asking about DeBoer and about the players and how this, he says you think about Alabama football players is you don't have to ask them to play hard. They know when they go there, that's what's expected of them. And so that part is always taken care of. They're going to play for 4 quarters, and they're going to outplay you in the 4th quarter. They're going to fight you to the end. And that's just the way it is and will always be.
That's the ultimate compliment.
It is. And I wasn't a huge Bill Curry fan. I look back at it, and
he's been kind enough to be on with us multiple times.
Yeah, I've changed my opinion. You go back and look, got 1 championship. I mean, was a center, undersized center.
Yeah.
Won how many Super Bowls? 5, 6.
Lombardi
won, but then he goes and plays for Baltimore. They win Super Bowls there.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys, it's interesting to, I have a bigger appreciation
2-time Super Bowl champ, by the way.
Yeah, Colts and the Packers.
3-time NFL champ before. So total 5.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Man.
And listen, you had to be a tough SOB to play in the NFL back then. But you go watch The Longest Yard, the old one.
Yeah.
And that's what you were up against. Everything they were doing is what they used to do on defense. They put cast on their arm and head slap you, basically just hit you across the head, knock you out.
Yeah.
They wanted to penalty. Finally, they outlawed that for some reason. I don't know what. Anyway, it's just
Deacon Jones.
Yeah. But Ernie the Big Cat Ladd was as big as anybody in the NFL now, and a great player. So you go back and look at the different players and that they had. Yeah, Kenny Stabler's one of the greatest players ever. Exactly. They didn't have anybody. You go watch the tape though; they're pretty good.
Well, they were, and he was a great baseball player too. By the way, probably would have been a pro prospect as a pitcher, but decided to concentrate on football. So Kenny was a great athlete. There's no doubt about it. That's one of my. I wish, because I've had other friends that met Kenny and were around him. I never met Kenny Stabler.
Yeah, well,
that's one of the things I wished I had been able to be around him and meet him or whatever.
You know what time it was, Drew?
I know. But
don't ever let him drive. That happened to me once. I get caught in a spider web. Can't get out.
Yeah. Well, but again,
one way to put it.
I enjoyed his work as a color analyst.
Oh, I think we all did.
Yeah.
I think we all did.
I just wish he'd been around to try to pronounce some of these names now. Like
he said the shoot word as loud as you've ever heard it on the radio. It was when we threw an interception in the year Sean Alexander
99
beat Florida, but we lost to Louisiana Tech on a pass got intercepted, freak deal, and then they scored on a freak deal. But when the pass got intercepted, he said, and they went straight to break.
Oh boy!
There's just silence as went to break.
Yeah,
that sounds familiar.
That's the Herschel.
Let's go to Woody
game.
Anderson Ford. All back over again.
Yeah. I was in the stands for that game, and what I had, I was so angry, and then someone pointed out to me, and I got even angrier that when the Alabama knocked Tim Rattay out of the game, I thought he had returned to the game. The backup quarterback threw the winning touchdown.
Oh yeah, but it was straight up in the air.
Yep.
Straight up in the air, and I don't know what we were doing. Three people were right there.
Well, on the subject of,
and my patients say,
pardon me, on the subject of rushing quarterbacks. Well, I was going to set this up, but let me try to clear off whatever audio just played. On the subject of running quarterbacks, this is what Josh had to say yesterday. This is from College Football Nerds on Jalen Milroe and how good he can potentially be.
Just in terms of raw talent of what he can be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think there's some things he can do in terms of things he can do with his arm and things he can do with his legs that probably exceed anything of any of the quarterbacks that, came before him. But, I think maybe the most overall talented guy in that bunch may have been Jalen Hurts in terms of his ceiling and potential, which we're starting to see in the NFL. But the thing with Hurts is Hurts was a coach's kid, right?
Yeah.
He came out of high school as a true freshman, having a much better understanding of the game. Yeah, high IQ guy, and Tua Tagovailoa, who maybe is a better pure passer and was much more instinctual. The biggest reason that they had that fight that they did when they were trying to see who'd be the starter, to a large degree, is I think Tua just wasn't as far along as Jalen was coming in. But Milroe doesn't have that same advantage. I think Bryce Young came out of that Mater Dei high school environment, which is probably the most polished high school coaching environment that exists. Same thing, Damani Jackson's coming out of, and we're seeing, I forget, Brown, maybe one of the DBs competing for a starting spot at Alabama comes out of the same group. So all those guys had these huge advantages for where they were going to be. And Milroe's just, wasn't on that same track. But, Mac Jones didn't become Mac Jones until he was a fifth-year player. I think Milroe, I don't know where his I know where his ceiling I think is being very high, but I'm not sure where he's going to get because it's just, it takes some players a lot longer to get there.
I only slightly disagree with that. I just think the main reason Jalen was ahead of Tua is he got there first and he established himself. Because remember, Jalen wasn't supposed to start. It was supposed to be Blake Barnett, and Blake Barnett wasn't ready, and Jalen Hurts was. And
Blake Barnett's still not ready.
Yeah. And then Tua got there, and it just immediately, I remember seeing Tua's first scrimmage, and he was so good. And think about it. That defense was a national championship defense that I was watching Tua shred. So, but again,
can't believe you mentioned Blake Barnett's.
But I mean, I'm just saying that's one of those things where
I heard who said that they needed a bench Blake Barnett. I mean, bench. What was the kid's name? Oh, I'm friends with him now. Last national championship guy that didn't play in the NFL.
Oh, you talking about Coker?
Coker. They should bench Coker and just give this year up.
Oh my God, it wasn't me, but I know the guy it was, and he was a friend of mine. But he's not in Tuscaloosa anymore. He's moved. But I'm not gonna. I'll spare him. But yeah, we had that discussion on the way back to the car, and I just said, "Are you out of your mind?"
Yeah, maybe you ought to talk about it when I called in one day.
Yeah,
I called
in. I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Jake Coker." I was like, "I said Jake Coker just played his guts out." I mean, I was more mad at Lane Kiffin for not handing the ball to number 27, you know what I'm saying, which was at that time Derrick Henry. He's only, he was number 2 at that. He had switched to his old number, high school number. I mean, Derrick only had 129 yards rushing in the game and was a tank. And Alabama had a minute and a half on the clock. You didn't have to throw it chunks down the field. Just give it to Derrick Henry. And, just ask Derrick about that and then duck. I'm saying, but to Lane's credit, he solved the problem after that game. And thank goodness Alabama didn't drop any more games, but he certainly learned from that disaster of a coaching performance. And they started Cooper Bateman too. Lord.
That was bad. I just remember.
What led to that? Did that story ever come out?
Yeah. Kiffin wanted to start at Coker. I mean, not Coker, but
Bateman.
Mm-hmm. They want to go and run the option. The problem is Bateman wasn't going to get hit.
Yeah, he was a better athlete than Coker, but he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to run.
Yeah, he didn't want to run. He pitched it every time. They were going to run the option. I just remember Wesley was so confident before the game, and then that morning I saw him. I spent the night at his house. It was him, his wife, and he left. And when I took his wife to the game. It was me and her went to the game. When we got there, she looked at me and says, "Wesley, we want to tell you, but they're going to start." He told me to tell you when he got there, they're going to lose the game because Cooper Bateman started. That's exactly what they said to me before the game.
I'll never forget being in the press box. And the whole game started off as a disaster because Kenyon Drake fumbled the kickoff and everything.
We fumbled 3 or 4 kickoffs in those two losses.
Yeah, and then you remember the ricochet off the helmet and everything that was caught to run for a touchdown.
Bad snap. He just threw it up for grabs.
Just threw it up like a Johnny Manziel, and it ricocheted. And then Hughes over here saying, "We should have won 2 more." I'm like, "Well, if you didn't have luck, you might not have won the 2 you got."
Yeah, we fumbled 4 kickoffs. Did you know that?
I mean,
you fumbled kickoff. I mean, 2 kickoffs. Alabama and those 2 losses fumbled 4 kickoffs. So if we start fumbling kickoffs, he ain't have a chance.
Well, I mean, and then I just remember Aaron Suttles. He's the one that broke it in the press box. Cooper Bateman's going to start. We all just sort of looked at each other like, "What?" I mean, why? We knew Coker had struggled a little bit, but come on. I mean, you got to stick with what you got. I mean, they hadn't lost a game. I mean, what is this?
That was a mistake. But you know what? It might have won them the national championship that year.
Oh, I think it did because I think Jake Coker won the team after that.
Yes.
I'll never forget how he played against Georgia in the rain. Sorry, Steve. And then
Steve was all puffed up that week for that game.
But no,
he went over there. They put him in some side Then we blocked the punt for a touchdown. He texted me.
Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, he said, this is over.
Yeah.
I remember doing that.
I mean, and then the funny thing is, I think he really won everybody over when the way he played against Texas A&M in College Station, running over people and throwing the football the way he did. I mean, Lane they were old school that year. They figured out it's play action and run Derrick Henry. You got to get Derrick Henry 30 to 35 carries. And I'll never forget in the A&M game, I mean, someone was soft as church music, but I mean, they gave the ball to Derrick and it was like touch football. They couldn't even, he wouldn't have been down in flag. They couldn't touch him. So,
but we fast forward to 2023 and Milroe was benched before the South Florida game.
I will always claim that was strategic. Totally. I think the master got what he wanted.
It was a little bit too close for comfort because don't forget.
Well, they cost the 50 twice. Nobody talks about that. And those were on quarterback draws. I mean, we running man under against the guy wasn't going to throw it. Yeah. Why would we do that? I was like, bad calls.
I mean, and then Alabama, Ty Simpson ran it in from the one with under 2 minutes to go. I mean, it was under a minute. It was a nerve-wracking game. It was 3-3.
When you're bounced past it, that guy was horrible.
Now he's playing
lacrosse.
He's back playing football at Notre Dame.
And now he's back on the team as a wide receiver, but he did play lacrosse in the spring. So he was kind of set up to fail. He didn't get a lot of help. And then Ty came off the bench and I thought was solid, but he wasn't spectacular. And I don't think he was ready yet. But I think one of the underlying stories of camp, and when Wes, of course, we know that you were at the scrimmage, but Ty is continuing hearing things about how he's improved, and that's very encouraging because, as everybody knows, quarterback is a position where you can lose a guy to injury, and I think if in this case the difference last year, if Milroe had missed a lot of time, it would not have been good for Alabama. That would have been a disaster. I don't think that's necessarily the case this year. If he gets banged up or nicked, I think Ty can execute the offense and execute it at a high level.
Offense is going to be different. There's no doubt about that.
And I like the weapons on the offense. See, our show today was mainly we took the RJ Young comment from Fox where he said it was Jalen Milroe and the Pips. And then Malachi Moore and the Pips. I was like, he hasn't studied Alabama's roster very hard.
And I don't know how you can say that when you have a guy that scored a touchdown in the SEC championship game in Jan Miller and looked like he was shot out of Cam. Ran a similar play for a touchdown.
Did you see Justice Haynes in the Rose Bowl?
Yeah. So
I was knocking this morning, not hard, but I was giving it a little bit of a hello.
Yeah.
Hello. I mean, but he watches a lot of Big 12 football, so you have to forgive him. And I mean, the two best teams left the conference.
Yeah.
Well, their commissioner did say it's the deepest conference
of mediocrity.
Yeah. So. Alabama's going to – they're Nye Black, they're going to miss. Guy can play. Best player, I would say Bond would be right now would be the best receiver Alabama had if he was still there. And I would argue that with anybody. Go watch the tape. But Kobe Prentice did a lot more last year than I remember.
Yeah,
having watched the tape and did a lot Saturday. Just makes play after play after play. Always open, catches the ball. Not a big flashy player like the other ones I just said. What I was impressed with the most in scrimmage, other than Jalen Milroe, which I was super impressed with him, was the tight end room.
Yeah. Cuevas, I like a lot. I think he's under the radar.
Yeah, but Dupree, guy can play. He made plays last year.
Well, Wesley told us that when he was at Maryland, he was firsthand saw the guy.
Yeah, he's a player now, and so I think the tight end room is better than it was last year overall. Playmaker wise, I think we're going to grow into it, but there's no doubt we would be a lot better off with the 2 or 3 guys that got away on offense, no question. And on defense, there's a lot of young people, man. Just a lot of young guys running around.
And you lose a guy like Caleb Downs, you feel it. I mean,
but I'm gonna say this about Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs was really good, played great against Georgia. You go back and watch, he missed a lot of tackles last year. In fact, we had Jerry Glanville call one time in a game and talk about how number 2 would not tackle. Soft.
Yeah.
I think it was incredible the way he played last year for a freshman.
Right.
But he had some games where he was very inconsistent, including the Texas game when he got burned for touchdowns. Against Kentucky, he got burned for touchdowns. It wasn't like he was a perfect player. I think it's his upside potential that you saw, thinking this guy's just a freshman. Look, he making this kind of play. Mm-hmm. But he also throw you in the river over here. It wasn't always just a perfect play. You can watch the tape. I've watched it. I've watched almost every game now from last year. And how nobody was talking about Jalen Milroe now it makes it even worse when you go back and watch the way he played against LSU, the way the second half of
Kentucky on the road.
Kentucky on the road when he was banged up a little bit on the third play of the game.
That's right. And he sucked it up. I thought he was going to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the last game.
Tennessee second
Michigan, which was a
beautiful.
mental. I mean, last year Alabama lost 2 games to the 2 of the top 4 teams.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like in both of them, even though it was a double-digit home loss to Texas, it was Alabama had the lead in the fourth quarter and didn't play very well anywhere. Turnovers and
couldn't stop the run.
Couldn't stop Texas.
Yeah, that one drive.
They got the ball. After he had that turnover,
that was like a 7-minute
Texas
drive.
Scored. Alabama comes back and scores.
Yeah,
you need to stop. We're gonna win the game.
7-minute drive.
Yeah, and then had number 9, who now plays for Ole Miss in the secondary, got just toasted.
Trey Amos.
Because you had the other guy was hurt also, missed that game. The senior from you can't remember their name. I have trouble remembering anybody's name, but if they only play there 1 year, it's impossible. So it was the kid from UAB.
Yeah, the UAB.
Yes.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do need to take our final timeout. Final call for phone calls on the other side. We're live here at Full Moon Barbecue. Thank you. Thank you.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Hey folks, Bob Baumhauer here. We're extremely proud that Baumhauer's Victory Grill has been serving Alabama for 43 legendary years. Our motto is legendary fun, legendary food, and we strive to make every dining experience a special one for all of our guests. Our menu features delicious, always fresh and scratch-made in-house recipes. And of course, our award-winning wings and sauces. And don't forget, our happy hour and halftime daily specials cannot be beat. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. If you're planning a holiday or a birthday party, Full Moon has a large banquet room. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Just call us and we'll take care of everything. 256-713-0070. Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco. The best little pork house in Alabama.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-90s. Going to be a little more humid across the Tennessee Valley. We drop into the low 70s as we head into the overnight. Early into your Wednesday morning, a partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky. Wednesday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s. A couple of isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms certainly going to be possible. Again, a little more on the humid side of things. Temperatures drop again into the low 70s as we head into the overnight. A mostly sunny to partly sunny sky for your Thursday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
There's the phone and no one to answer.
256-576-4977.
And as a result, we got many phone calls and letters.
Give us a call on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline today. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I said, see Ryder. Oh, see what you have done.
Yeah, I felt a little Jerry Reed potentially right there.
That's the first for real.
Yeah. Back here at Full Moon Barbecue.
We heard Philip Fulmer's mantra when I was walking here in the restaurant. I couldn't believe it. Eric Clapton and cocaine.
Well, I'm going away.
Paul Feinbaum and Heather Dinich went on Get Up with Greeny. Are Alabama and Notre Dame overrated or underrated this season?
Overrated or underrated?
They're slightly overrated. Greeny, I still think they're a playoff team, but they're on the cut line. And the fact that they're ranked number 5 may sound good to some people. This is the lowest Alabama ranking since 2009 in the preseason.
Which is right around the time Nick got there. So we'll see if they are indeed overrated. Heather, Notre Dame is at 7. Are they overrated or underrated?
They are underrated. This is a college football playoff team entering Marcus Freeman's 3rd year. They've returned 9 of 11 starters from the nation's number 7 scoring defense. Look out for the Irish this year, Greeny.
Yeah, the 3rd year has been the charm, by the way, for a lot of former Notre Dame coaches. We'll see if it is for Freeman as well. Then finally, Michigan. No more Jim Harbaugh, all the rest of that. They're at number 9. Paul, overrated or underrated?
Too high. They're living off of last year, Greeny. I mean, they're a good team in Sharon Moore's first full season. I think they're around 9-3, which would not put them in the top 10 and would probably not get them into the playoffs.
So that's a little bit of Heather Dinich and Paul Feinbaum on Get Up.
Well, 1988's got a good defense, but we'll see how good.
Paul had Bama overrated.
Riley
at
Leonard,
number 5.
I'm really interested to see how he does.
Slightly overrated.
That might be, he could be right about that. You're not going to be 5th if you have 2 losses. And I just don't see how Alabama can beat Georgia early unless Georgia plays again like they did the last 9 times we played them. And
Swamp Monster.
Yeah. Swamp Monster looks good, by the way. He's going to be better because Swamp Monster's big thing is he has to get better. His pass sets, just little stuff. Like one time he had he set to the inside and the guy had outside leverage, beats him outside. It's just he should have set with the other foot. Just little things make such a big difference when you're playing offensive line. And little mistakes you have to make on tape for your to get corrected. He's having to do it in a game because he never practiced enough, played enough in the scrimmages against high level,
I'll just say this about the Swamp Monster, Jaden Roberts. I think this will bring back memories for Wes, but this guy played fullback and then nose guarded Alabama. I think he's the strongest guy since Robert Stewart. I always heard all the stories about Robert Stewart and how strong he was.
I think Jaden's stronger.
Yeah, I would say he's even stronger. He's bigger.
Yeah.
We've talked about his bench press and his squat. It's ridiculous.
But the guy that did the most I've ever heard is he just passed away. It's a Dallas Cowboy, and Larry Allen.
Larry Allen, yep, Division II guy, but a monster.
Yeah, he can fly, absolutely fly.
Appreciate the fine folks here at Full Moon Barbecue for hosting us, and place is filling up. So come on by here, enjoy some brisket, much like Drew and I are about to. Yeah, baby. And don't forget Braves baseball coming up later on tonight. Can we score a run in the first 9 innings and not the 10th? I guess a win's a win, right? Yeah. Talk to you tomorrow.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Sports Talk, 24/7, 365. Your full-time sports station.
You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Is 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Doesn't anyone do any work around this joint anymore?